ADOS and our allies. You know who it is, Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Friends of ADOS TV channel, bringing you those ADOS hot topics and making the case for reparations, making the case for Democratic down ballot strategy this election cycle, family. Follow them, follow them, follow them. Thank you so much for joining the live. Today, we're going to talk about Trump and these taxes and how there is so much fake outrage surrounding Trump's taxes that there's really nothing to see here. Okay, what's up, ADOS Truth? Thank you for joining the live, fam. Yeah, it's not, what slays me about the Democratic Party is that they make much ado about the very things they set Trump up to benefit from. Okay, Trump has been in office for 4 years. So a lot of the benefits with respect to his tax breaks come from the tax bills that were signed into law by Obama and previous presidents. Yes, and we're going to talk about that. So for me, in lieu of offering tangibles in exchange for our vote, the Democrats and the media are just trying to make such a hideous monster of Trump. What's up, Devon Air One? They're trying to make such a monster of Trump in order to get you to throw away the only commodity you've got, your vote, this election cycle, to unseat him when you did not place him into office. White folks put him into office. But isn't this true of white folks? Every freaking election cycle, they are relying on the ADOS lineage to bail them out with the vote. And you're told, wait 4 more years. Just keep waiting 4 more years. Not this time around. We can't do anything for you this time around. We'll get you the next time around. We've been doing that for how long? 60 years? Okay, we are at George Floyd, 846. What's up, Cosetta Osler? ADOS Arkansas Rising. Hey, welcome to the live. But we've been doing this 2-step lesser of two evil. What's up, Dwayne Brooks? Thank you for joining the live. 2-step shuffle all the way to George Floyd, 8 minutes and 46 seconds. We've got white high school dropouts able to get more gainful employment over ADOS degreed students. Okay? You got master degree students driving Uber and Lyft because there is no more affirmative action to protect their interests in the private sector. Okay? And instead of Joe Biden offering reparations and a black agenda in exchange for our vote, they are now blowing up this Trump nonsense. When Trump couldn't get away with it if it wasn't already built into the laws. And so we're going to get into that. I'll let a few more people follow in so we can talk about it. And I want to, say a disclaimer here, okay? I am not a Trump supporter, but I am done being a mule for the Democratic Party. That went out last election cycle. I voted Green Party last election cycle. And of course, they want to credit those of us who voted third parties with giving the election to Trump. No, I would venture to say you gave the election to Trump when you chose to seek the Republican vote, seek the immigrant vote over giving ADOS reparations and the black agenda that were long overdue. Because being poor in this country makes you a target. And so the Democrats are giving it to Trump when they colluded with Joe Biden to pretty much co-opt the entire election, the primaries, from Bernie Sanders. You know why? Because Bernie was saying loud and proud, we coming for those taxes. You're not going to be able to get away with paying $750 in taxes. No. And you're clocking in millions. That's not happening on my watch. And he made that real clear. And so they decided, with the help of Obama, to have the other moderate conservatives in the Democratic Party to fall on their sword to make way to give it to Biden. So I would venture to say, with that move, you've given it to Trump. But the ADOS will be blamed. What's up, Nukeman? The Nukeman, thank you for joining the live. Yeah, the ADOS will be blamed. Trust to believe. Okay, we were blamed last election cycle for Trump being in office. Michelle Obama still blaming us. 100 million people stay home. We 35 million. Okay, and we get blamed for why Trump is in office. When you can clearly see by the voting patterns, for those that showed up, you know, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, and the ADOS that did show up to the polls, 90% between men and women voted for her. But we'll get blamed for third-party votes, for not showing up to the polls because you don't have anything to offer. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone not to show up to the polls. We must show up to the polls in Obama-style numbers, because we've got 42% or greater of ADOS who rely on government assistance by design. And the Republicans will undo us. What's up, ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery? Thank you guys for joining the live. Greetings and peace to you. Thank you. Here a YouTube stream. We on for you tonight. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you guys supporting the live. Thank you. Yeah. So there is much work for us to do, family. And we got to talk about how this is fake outrage with the Democrats. Donald Trump has simply used the laws, like all the billionaires, to pay as little taxes as possible while putting the burden on the lower middle working class. It is nothing new under the sun. Congress presents these bills. These bills are signed into law by the president. So we have Obama to thank yet again for helping Trump to be able to pay so little taxes. He was the one signing, okay, when Trump was like not paying any taxes. And why we need to show up in Obama-style numbers and deliver a Democratic Congress. It doesn't really matter who's at, well, it does matter. We can't afford a trifecta, family. Meaning if Democrats get it at the top of the ticket and the bottom, we're done. Because they are in benign neglect when they don't pay attention to how opening the borders to more immigration oppresses the Black working class, especially our brothers. So this is what's going to happen if you give them the top of the ticket. It's going to be more crushing oppression for ADOS Black men in particular. Okay, we cannot afford a trifecta on either side. It will be to the devastation and more suffering for ADOS, and I say it's high time we continue to socialize this suffering so that more people will rally behind and support reparations, because being poor makes us targets. More people will rally behind the reparations, and then prayerfully by 2024, the Democrats will run it full-chested on their platform. We got to do something. And the vote is all we got. We don't have money to be at the table. And they've gotten used to this pattern in the ADOS, the lineage, of us just continuing to put out their white fires. They vote Trump into office. Now my vote has to unseat him. You got the ADOS movement all the way mixed up. We're not doing it. Debonair One says, Obama and many other two-gen immigrants don't understand the sinister nature of white supremacy. It runs deep, even on the Black hand side. Okay? So please trust and believe, family. It is up to us. What's up, Naturally Malika, Reginald Morton, Ace Dog 96TA. Thank you all for joining live. Yeah, it is on us to get this revolution going at the polls. And folks are like, well, aren't you afraid of another Trump? Aren't you, aren't you, like scared to death of Trump taking office again? I am more afraid of the extinction of ADOS than I am Trump. I don't know that Trump has done anything more egregious than close to 1 million Black men or more, last count, in prison, okay? In prison. in the new slavery. I don't recall Trump doing that to ADOS. I recall 94 segregationist Jim Crow Joe and author of the 94 crime bill coming up with a crime bill that, oh, by the way, Clinton, made law, and the feds pay the states for the beds to turn a profit off the backs of the re-enslavement of our Black men. I know that the states are turning a profit on weed while our brothers are still on lockdown for weed. I know that they're putting up weed shops in our neighborhoods owned by white folks. They're not in the white neighborhoods, while denying ex-felons who were on lockdown at one time for peddling weed, they don't get any access to owning those businesses. I know that Obama started 6 more wars when he was in office after running a ticket saying that he was bringing the soldiers home. I know that he dropped so many bombs that he ran out. I know that he did so many drone strikes and killed a bazillion civilians. Okay? I know these things. I know he murdered Gaddafi for wanting to break away from the New World Order and run his own money, and then turned around and was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. That's what I know. I know that 1 million white millionaires were created on his watch, given the tax laws and the tax breaks, okay? Given the fact that he bailed out Wall Street, did nothing for Main Street, did not audit the banks to guarantee they were lending money to Blacks. Yeah, sure, he came with, this keep your home kind of legislation, but that was after 43% of us had lost our only asset, our only wealth, our homes. So it was a day late and a dollar short. I know he's interfering with the election while they're pointing fingers at the Republicans right now. Sure they are. They're wiping off the Green Party, suing them to get them off of the ballots, because that's what they've got to do in order to give themselves a chance to win. While they're constantly talking about the Republicans suppressing the vote. I know as we have to get rid of the Electoral College, we also have to get rid of superdelegates who will vote against the constituents. That happened when I was working for Bernie Sanders. I know that Obama interfered and got Joe Biden the top of the ticket. And even though Kamala was polling at 4th during her presidential bid out here in California, she is now, within a stone's throw of the presidency. I believe that Biden is going to come out due to dementia in his first couple years, and the Dems are going to try to get this thing locked down for 12 years. I know Obama gave $12 million to the Jews for their Holocaust on top of the $233 billion we have already given them towards their Holocaust and towards their armies, to keep the Palestinian people oppressed. That last count was 2013 at $233 billion, and told the ADOS no to reparations, and our ancestors built all the wealth in this country that everybody eats from. These things I know. But nobody can tell me, other than Trump is mean and a racist, what he's done to damage ADOS more than even Obama's term. We've been going through the book Prejudicial to tell you none of them have had our best interest in heart. They've all had to been pressured to do something for ADOS, and we're pressuring them until they cut that check into trillions over multi-generations. And so, family, the only thing we can do here is to weaponize that vote. That's all we got. And it's not like we've not made demands of them. We have been making demands, and they have been clearly ignoring us. So I am voting Green Party top of the ticket. I am advising everyone where Green Party is in your state to vote Green Party top of the ticket. We don't expect them to win. If Trump takes the top and we deliver a Democratic Congress, it's going to be on lock, so that the ADOS movement can continue to do this work. And we have a lot of work to do to get HR 40 fixed and to make sure this reparations is right and that it includes cash. We need more time. And my stressors to you is that we continue to break the back of the establishment until they run us those reparations. Without reparations, we are doomed. They have given affirmative action to white women first, immigrants second, LGBTQIA third. By the time it gets to us, there's nothing left. So we need to put a gate up around the reparations, around what we are owed, around what we are due, so we can get some enforcements. Lily, thank you for joining the live. ADOS Jax FLA, thank you for joining the live. AT400years.org, thank you for joining the live. Yeah, plus Obama transferred $221 million to Pakistan during Trump's inauguration. I like hearing all you know. Damn, you know. Now we know. Run me my check. We recall this mantra. Run me my check. It's not enough to make an income, family. Getting a degree or degrees and having a job or jobs doesn't close a $100 trillion egregious racial wealth gap. It was 11 trillion at the end of slavery. That has been grown. That's grown to 100 trillion that white folks share, while 90% of blacks or ADOS shares less than 700 billion since COVID. They share more than 100 trillion since COVID, and we share less than 700 billion. We have no wealth to leave our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And given that they aren't hiring us at the rate they're hiring white women and immigrants and LGBTQ, our children need those checks to start their own businesses and to start up their own Wall Streets again. They're going to have to be in business for themselves. Their education needs to teach them entrepreneurship. I mentioned to you often, down here in LA, we're 44% educated, higher degrees, and 6% of the private sector. So, anywho, let me get off of that because I have to go on Spectrum. I don't know if you have Spectrum for your cable and Wi-Fi, but thank you, Shirley Huzar, Urban Game Changer. She has asked me to be an ambassador for her while she takes a little hiatus. And Spectrum News called me and wanted me to come on because she fed them a few of my shows and they liked what I had to offer to the conversation. This is wonderful, family. Because what it does for us is it takes our message outside of our circle to get white folks and everybody else to understand why that reparations is necessary. And so tonight I've been charged with watching the debates that start at 6 o'clock. Lord, it's 5:20. I've been charged with watching the debates and I'm going to be on that news show. It's 4 of us, only 30 minutes, 9 to 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. So if you don't catch it, I'll put it in the link. I'll put it all over my little, Twitters and Facebook and thing, okay? So you guys can check that out. But I'm going to be representing ADOS very hard, and they're here for it. White folks actually want to hear what I've got to say. And it's a wonderful thing because they keep making our reparations about not enough support. I don't recall anyone sending around a vote for Jewish repair for my taxes, the Japanese repair for my taxes, these incessant wars for my taxes. Who else? The Indians and their casinos and all of their reparation. I didn't get the memo. So I'm confused as to why it matters that it be popular. It is old. For slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. That's it and that's all. So any one of these presidents can make an executive order. I know he can't give away the money, but Congress can work on that part. They just don't have the political will. Okay? Because nobody asked me. I don't think y'all got a memo when it was time to repair everybody else and spend our tax dollars on excessive wars. I don't remember nobody asking me. So I don't need the permission. But since folks want to pretend like, well, we don't have enough, No, it's not enough support. Then, okay, I'm going to come on these shows and make the case like I do over here. Okay, Naturally Malika, thank you for joining the live, my love. Okay, so let's get into it. Adrian Taylor, thank you for joining the live, my love. Okay, let's do this real quick. And then I don't even know if I'm going to have time to get to presidential. I think I'm always talking too much, family. Forgive me, so much to say all the time. I just need y'all to understand the strategy is green or blank, top of the ticket. Like, say, for example, green is not in your state because the Democrats have gotten them thrown off. You need to leave it blank because they're throwing out ballots in never write-in states, and there are a lot of restricted states, family. Don't take the risk. I know you want to put ADO West. I don't advise it. There's so much going on to suppress your vote. You don't want to suppress your own vote. Leave it blank or put in Green Party. GreenPartyGP.org is running reparations on their platform, and they have a beautiful Angela Walker, ADO West, running as VP. So no, they won't win. We're trying to shut it down so we can keep this work going to get y'all's checks. We have a lot to do. The movement takes catnaps. So let's dig right in. Okay, so here are 7 takeaways from the New York Times report on President Trump's taxes, okay? First of all, as New York Times report that President Donald Trump paid just $750 in federal income tax the year he entered the White House, and thanks to colossal losses, no income tax at all. In 11 of the 18 years that the Times reviewed, is raising doubts about President Trump's self-image as a shrewd and successful businessman. I don't know why. I think he's smart. $750? Any of y'all pay $750 in taxes? That Sunday's report came just weeks before Mr. Trump's re-election bid served to intensify the spotlight on Mr. Trump, the businessman, an identity that he has spent decades cultivating and that helped him capture the presidency 4 years ago in his first run for political office. The Times report deepens the uncertainty surrounding a tumultuous presidential campaign set against the backdrop of a viral pandemic, racial unrest in American cities, and ferocious battle over the Supreme Court seat left vacant by the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Mr. Trump on Sunday called the report totally fake news. Quote, first of all, I paid a lot, and I paid a lot of state income taxes too, Mr. Trump said at a Sunday news conference. New York State charges a lot, and I paid a lot of money in state. It will all be revealed. The New York Times report focused on federal tax returns, not state returns. Mr. Trump didn't disclose how much he paid in either federal or state income taxes. Breaking tradition. Since entering the White House, Mr. Trump has broken with traditions set by his predecessors by not only refusing to release his tax returns, but by waging a legal battle to keep them hidden. The Times report suggests why they might have been so. It reported that many of Mr. Trump's top businesses are losing money, losses that have helped him shrink his federal tax bill to essentially nothing. Oh my goodness. Eugene Sturell, a tax reporter at the Urban Institute, said he wasn't surprised that it turns out that Mr. Trump would pay almost no federal income tax. Most commercial real estate developers deduct large interest payments on their debts from taxable income, thereby lowering their tax bills. Typically, they also often avoid capital gains tax by plowing profits from the sale of one building into the purchase of another. He's just using the law in his favor, family. I don't think this is illegal so far. Most tax experts expected you would find little in the way of tax payments by President Trump, said Sturell, who served as a Treasury Department official under President Ronald Reagan. The Times noted that Alan Garten, a lawyer for the Trump Organization, said of the Times report that, quote, most, if not all, of the facts appear to be inaccurate, and, close quote, and as for the documents on which the reporting was based, which the Times declined to provide in order to protect its sources. The Times said Barton then directly disputed only the amount of taxes Mr. Trump had paid. Here are 7 key takeaways for the Times reporting. Trump paid $750 in taxes in both 2016 and 2017. Based on whose tax laws? Who was leaving office? Y'all's Jesus Obama. The newspaper said Mr. Trump initially paid $95 million in taxes over the 18 years it studied, but he managed to recover most of that money by claiming and receiving a stunning $72.9 million federal tax refund. According to the Times, Mr. Trump also pocketed $21.2 million in state and local refunds, which are typically based on federal filings. Mr. Trump's outsized refund became the subject of a now long-standing Internal Revenue Service audit of his finances. The audit was widely known. Trump has claimed it was the very reason why he cannot release his returns. But the Times report is the first to identify the issue that was mainly in dispute. As a result of the refund, Mr. Trump paid an annual average $1.4 million in federal taxes from 2000 to 2017. The Times reported. By contrast, the average U.S. taxpayer in the top 0.001% of earners paid about $25 million annually over the same time frame, 25 times more than Trump. His tax returns also reveal that he's failed to repay $287 million to his lenders since 2010, which the Times says is far more than previously known. While the IRS treats forgiven debt as income, Mr. Trump avoided paying taxes on much of that money through tax maneuvers. Number two, a lavish lifestyle through business expenses. From his homes, his aircraft, and $70,000 on hairstyling during his television show, The Apprentice, Trump has capitalized on costs incurred from his businesses to finance a luxurious lifestyle. Me speaking. What is this telling you, family? That being in business for yourself pays. Okay? The challenge is many of us don't have the resources the capital to go into business. And even Obama only gave less than 1% to small businesses, small Black-owned businesses, as compared to Bush. I think he gave like 6%. You see? But we must focus, family, on how we're going to get ourselves in a position to get whatever breaks we can in our taxes. Let this be a wake-up call to your family to come up with something, some way to be in business for yourself so you too can write off your luxuries, homes, your aircrafts. Oh, well, you won't have aircrafts. Your businesses probably won't be making that much without a huge, infuse of capital. But I'm a 1099 contractor. So as a W-2 income earner, I was slammed on taxes. It behooves you, if you're a W-2 income earner, to balance or offset the taxes you pay as a W-2 income earner through your own small business. Okay, family? So as an independent contractor, I get money back. It ain't this kind of money because I don't earn this kind of money. But it behooves you to come up with a way to shelter your money. And being in business for yourself, if you've learned nothing else, boys and girls, is the best way to do that. Moving on, the Times noted that Mr. Trump's homes, planes, and golf courses are a part of the Trump family business, and as such, Trump classified them as business expenses as well. Because companies can write off business expenses as deductions. All such expenses have helped reduce Trump's tax liability. You can do the same, family. Mr. Trump's Seven Springs estate in Westchester County, New York, is a 50,000 square foot mansion set on more than 200 acres. But because he classifies it as an investment property, Mr. Trump is able to write off the estate's $2.2 million in property taxes as a business expense. Eric Trump, one of Mr. Trump's sons, has described the property as home base for us for a long, long time, while the Trump Organization describes the property as a retreat for the Trump family. At the same time, the tax overhaul signed into law by Mr. Trump in 2017 limits taxpayers to $10,000 in deductions for state and local taxes, which includes property taxes. You hear that? You're limited to $10,000 in deductions for state and local taxes, including your property taxes. Thank you, Trump. Number three, some of his best-known businesses lose millions. The president has frequently pointed to his far-flung hotels, golf courses, and resorts as evidence of his success as a developer and businessman. Yet, these properties have been hemorrhaging money because it pays to lose money. It pays to lose money. It becomes a write-off to get the government. You talk about welfare. This is corporate welfare, family. They call us the welfare queens, right? Isn't that what Hillary Clinton called us? Welfare queens? These are the biggest welfare recipients. You know what they like to do? They like to capitalize profits and socialize their losses. Y'all need to get hip to the game and stop this lesser of two evil two-step shuffle all the way to your peril. That's what y'all need to do. The Times reported that Mr. Trump has claimed $315 million in losses since 2000 on his golf courses, including the Trump National Doral near Miami, which Mr. Trump has portrayed as a crown jewel in his business empire. Likewise, his Trump International Hotel in Washington has lost $55 million, the Times reported. Number 4, foreign visitors help support Trump properties. Since Mr. Trump began his presidential run, lobbyists, foreign governments, and politicians have lavished significant sums of money on his properties, a spending spree that raised questions about its propriety and legality. The Times report illustrates just how much that spending has been. Since 2015, his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida has taken in $5 million more a year from a surge in membership. The Billy Graham Evangelistic Association spent at least $397,602 in 2017 at Trump's Washington hotel. Overseas projects have produced millions more for Trump. $3 million from the Philippines, $2.3 million from India, and $1 million from Turkey. Number 5, he may have paid family members in consulting fees. This is where it's a little sketchy, family. Mr. Trump wrote off about $26 million in unexplained consulting fees as a business expense across many of his projects, the New York Times reported. While the consultants aren't identified on the tax returns, the consulting fees claimed as tax deductions in some cases match exactly what Ivanka Trump claimed as income in her financial disclosures. Speaking of which, you guys need to watch her criminal husband, Jared, in Dirty Money. Go and see his real estate willings and dealings in New York as they tried to create a pathway for him to run for president next. You got to go see that. It will blow your mind what he's been instrumental in doing to the least of us. Okay, it's a nightmare. It's very criminal. As a matter of fact, 666 is on one of his major buildings in New York. You got to check that out. Dirty Money, Netflix. Anywho, moving on. Oh my God. Oh, Lord have mercy. This is 5:35. Okay, family. I gotta be on time when I leave tonight. Put your chats in there, and I'm going to revisit them on Thursday's show because I have a very little bit of time to get through the rest of this. He wrote out, claimed this income in their financial. For instance, Ivanka Trump reported receiving $747,622 in payments from a consulting company she co-owned, the same amount that Mr. Trump claimed as a tax deduction for 2 hotel projects. At the same time, Ivanka Trump was an executive officer of the Trump companies. She both profited from the hotels and the consulting fees. The Times story noted, the IRS in the past has pursued penalties against some companies that have sought to avoid taxes by paying consulting fees to people who weren't, in fact, independent contractors, the report noted. The maneuver helps companies sidestep payroll taxes, noted the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. Number 6, Trump's lucrative licensing revenue has dwindled. Mr. Trump earned $427.4 million from his reality show, The Apprentice, from 2010 to 2018, as well as from licensing deals from everything from clothing to mattress companies. But that revenue started to dry up when he ran for president and made derogatory comments about immigrants, which cost him 2 of his most lucrative deals, along with tens of millions in revenue from the Miss Universe pageant, which NBC announced it would no longer broadcast. Indeed, Mr. Trump's brand appears to be the most successful part of his business. During the same period The Apprentice was on the air, the businesses that Mr. Trump ran lost almost $175 million, the Times reported. Number 7, Trump's debt load is coming due. Mr. Trump seems sure to face heavy financial pressures from the enormous pile of debt he has absorbed. The Times said the president appears to be responsible for $421 million in loans, most of which will come due within 4 years. On top of that, a $100 million mortgage on Trump Tower in New York will come due in 2022. But they won't lend to us to even buy homes. This is why we're running for them reparations, y'all. You don't even have enough money to be American. Okay? You don't even have enough money to be American. Let me see what y'all chatting it up about what with the time I have left. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to get through these comments. We come in the digital building and tip the scales with truth, anchored in data. Amen to that. Thank you so much, ADOS Truth. Let's see what y'all saying about all this nonsense going on. Some of these I already read. People, Taj Marie, welcome to the live. People can write off business losses for up to 3 years, which reduces gross income. Family, we've got to learn how to be white as we can, right? We've got to learn how to be in business for ourselves, even if it's something small. You guys can make a business right here on the internet. You could do affiliated marketing. You can do reselling. There are all manner of things you can do with very, very little to no capital to get yourself going. You may have to take a few courses or check out some DIY, do-it-yourself videos, but we have got to learn this hustle and this racket to protect what little interest we've got. Flip Kick, thank you for joining the live. You speak for all of us. We will be wherever you go, Angela Nirvana. Keep talking. We need all you share. Thank you so much. Menace, ADOS Truth. Menace Aptara, peace to you as well, fam. Thank you for joining the live. Menace says, they value capital, not labor. You hear? And that's why it's important, if you have to do labor, if you have to be a W-2 income earner, you must find a way to be in business for yourself, to get some shelters going, even to offset the taxes you've got to pay as a W-2 income earner. Thank you for that. Like and share, ADOS fam. Like and share. Oh, I appreciate that. She speaks well for us. Oh, thank you so much, ADOS Truth. I receive it. Maness, President Obama created a whole new class of millionaires but did not support reparations. That's exactly right. He was a no to reparations, but all of the ways in which he aided to make a pathway for 1 million white millionaires during his tenure. That's exactly what happened. The monopoly, while we lost 43% of our wealth and was told no to reparations. Eric Brown, oh, this is my attorney friend out of New York. Thank you for joining the live, my love. But he changed the tax code where small business owner would pass through entities, LLC, PLLC, sole proprietorships cannot take deductions for their businesses anymore. They can now only claim a personal deduction unless their expenses meet a certain amount. I'm assuming, brother, that you're talking about Trump. That's harrowing. Okay. I have a tax accountant, and so far as a 1099, I've gotten money back. I don't know how recent this was, but everything is a write-off for me. And I get, thousands back. Love the fan. You are, it's so necessary. You will not believe how hot it is down here in Los Angeles. It is about 86 degrees last time I checked. Okay. It is sweltering. So thank you, but it's necessary. You are a wealth of information. Thanks for laying it out in our language. We need you, sis. We like and share. Oh, thank you. I love you, Black and Strong. Yes, I do. AT 400 years org. Y'all are the wind beneath my wings. Thank you for tuning in. ADOS American Descendant of Slavery says President Donald Trump is paying the corporate welfare perfectly. It's gross and legal. You are right, sis. Absolutely, family. But what I can't stand is this, fake outrage by the Democrats, by the media, all the horror, clutching their invisible pearls. They're trying to play us to, like I said, make Trump the boogeyman. I keep telling y'all, Trump is a symptom, not the disease, okay? All right. Thank you, ADOS. I love y'all. Please share the information for your next digital engagement. We're coming right on over. Spectrum News. You know, the one that I don't have a link. I think you have to get Spectrum News to see it. But basically, I will be one of the 4 panelists talking about the debates tonight. I hate watching debates, but we need a voice. We need immigrants and white folks to understand why they need to get behind our reparations. So I'm intending to do that work as often as I can for as long as I'll be invited. I'm there for ADOS. Okay, all the best to you tonight. May the Creator and the ancestors continue to use you. Thank you, my brother from another mother, Eric L. Brown, an attorney out of New York. Oh, I just love him, Black and Strong. Say Kusise, talk that talk, sister. You're spot on. They're not ready to speak that. Media Engagement Solutions, thank you for joining the live. We are here, family. I love y'all so much. Thank you for being here. Okay, how much time do I have? Oh, I'm at 41 minutes. So let's dig into some of these little other dead presidents. Now, remember, family, it's story time. These are very, very short chapters. I know y'all don't want to, hear me go on and read, but I give a little commentary in between, and I got to get through some of them because the movement has taken up my time. I didn't get to do a show Sunday. Yeah, so I'm trying to come on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays, but so much is brewing, family. It would blow your hair back. But somebody's got to do the work. Other than I don't disparage anyone that's got to call out the puckery from other groups that try to disparage us. Lineage First, I thank you so much for joining live. Does Spectrum, Rita Forte, I love you. Does Spectrum News have a YouTube channel? Will it be streaming live on YouTube? I don't know. You guys, I promise you, they told me that I would get a link. So I just assumed Spectrum News was, I'll try to find out. Okay, read. Okay, Rita, represent that. That's our job. I'll be on a local panel here in the Bay Area too. Let's go, family. Okay, Rita Forte, she's over in the YouTube, and Rita, type in the name of your show. Yeah, all hands on deck. We got Be the Power. We got 13%. We got Breaking Brown. Rita, put your show in there. Man, we are busy trying to run y'all these reparations. But Media Engagement says, stop saying hello to all of your loves and let's read. So I'm going to try to get through this, and I got to jump off because I got to take notes from the debate. So I want to read to you about a couple more dead presidents. Okay, let me give you a little context as to what was going on. And we'll get to maybe 2 instead of 4. One of them had a repeat in office. Okay, so 1881 through, where'd he go? Through Grover Cleveland, 1897. I'm not going to be able to read all that, but let me tell you what was going on, 1881. Okay. During this time, during this time, 1881, they jumped to 1900. So the 15th Amendment to the Constitution allowed Black men to vote in 1870. So you guys will have some context, okay, as I read. So here we go. Chester Arthur, 1881 to 1885, was Garfield's vice president, came to office after his assassination. Raised by a staunchly abolitionist father, as a young attorney, he took on 2 landmark cases that established legal rights for Black people. In the Lemon slave case, he argued that 8 enslaved people brought to New York State were automatically freed once they arrived. Then in 1856, he argued on behalf of Lizzie Jenkins, a Black woman expelled from horse car public transportation. But Arthur came to political power. Oh, Lord, I gotta get in the light. Arthur came to political power when segregation was ascended. The Jim Crow system that would reign for nearly 100 years emerged during his time in office. While Republican presidents Grant, Hayes, and Garfield each did less and less for Black Southerners and diminished federal efforts on their behalf, Arthur was a stalwart, a faction within the Republican Party that was willing to accommodate the South, and many of those members came from Confederate states. In 1883, the Supreme Court declared that the Enforcement Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1875, was unconstitutional. The act had guaranteed public accommodation and prohibited exclusion from jury service. The court ruled that the federal government did not have jurisdiction over private entities, which were therefore allowed to discriminate. Republicans in Congress introduced 5 different bills in an effort to replace the Civil Rights Act, but they all failed in the absence of presidential pressure. Me speaking. Do you see why you must put pressure? Our ancestors put pressure on Abe Lincoln. He didn't free us from the kindness of his heart. We insisted and persisted in our freedom, in our emancipation. About 500 or more of us escaped from slavery to the Union camps. And that put pressure on Abe Lincoln to prioritize our emancipation when his real priority was the Union. You couldn't do one without the other. And so, family, y'all lean in. Do you hear me, ADOS? Don't you give in. Don't you give up. Don't you give out. We need every last one of you hell-raisers, disruptors of this election cycle, to keep leaning in. None of this gets done for our people without pressure. Martin Luther King pressured Lyndon B. Johnson. We have got to pressure the Democrats, and we've got to weaponize the only commodity we have, our vote. Everybody show up to the polls. Spread the word. None of us can afford to stay home. Vote green or blank top of the ticket or Trump, whatever you want to do. Okay? I know some of my friends are voting for Trump. Absolutely, they are. They are very much, and I like this part too about Trump. I like that he is not opening these borders to more immigrants to oppress us, because that's what the Democrats failed to get, that allowing immigrants a pathway to citizenship oppresses and tethers us further to the bottom. I've shared with you guys on previous shows how immigrants are faring far better than the ADOS in the country of our ancestors. That's what they do. Down here in LA, for example, ADOS are 200 liquid, 90% of Skid Row, 44% educated, 6% of the private sector. Okay, to African immigrants, 60,000 liquid. To Kamala's people, Asian Indians, whom she has said she will give more H-1B visas to over giving us anything. She ain't doing nothing specifically for us. Are $245,000 liquid. White folks down here are, I want to say, oh, I have to look at that number. I don't like to misquote. So let me dig that number out. But what I'm telling you is we cannot afford to stay home. This may be the last election cycle to break the back of the Democratic Party, because as they are planning to open up the borders to 11 million more Latinx people, they are grooming and pandering for the Hispanic vote. They're in a dead heat down in Florida. The Republicans and the Democrats are in a dead heat. The Cubans, now get this, 90% of the Latinx community claims to be white. They have been made white like the Irish were made white, like the Jews were made white. You understand what I'm telling you? Okay. So we have got to show up. Green or blank top of ticket. I wouldn't risk putting in ADOS at the top of the ticket. It may get thrown out. We cannot suppress our own votes. And Democratic down ballot. Anywho, back to the text. Oh my God. 48. Okay. I'm almost done with this president. I'm going to try to eke in one more. Yeah, I'm going to try to do Grover Cleveland's first term in office. He came back, but we won't get to those two. We'll push him over to the next time. Okay, welcome to the live, Your Soul Train. Martin Norwood, I thank you for joining the live. Joseph Prevost, thank you for joining the live. Okay, let's get back. Okay, so anyway, Republicans in Congress introduced, in his annual message to Congress in 1883, Arthur mentioned the end of the Civil Rights Act in the very last paragraph. He blandly and untruthfully stated that new legislation would receive his unhesitating approval. Liars, all of them. While Arthur certainly did hesitate to fight for the rights of Black people, he was eager to criticize the victims. He admonished one Georgia leader, "You prove yourselves incapable of holding those states when they were placed boldly in our grasp," close quote. On other occasions, he stated that Blacks do not help the party as much as white officials and excel in office begging. You drag us here in chains. Make chattel slaves of us. Build your economy to 11 trillion, which was your seed to get to 100 trillion. But we do not help the party as much as white officials, and we excel in office begging. They never cease to amaze me. There was no hesitation in the Black community in condemning presidential inaction. Charles Henley, then editor of the Huntsville, Alabama Gazette, put it poignantly and succinctly. Spit upon in the house of his friends, despised and ignored at feast times, and recognized only when his services are needed, is the lot of the Negro. Did you hear that, family? Spit upon in the house of his friends, despised and ignored at feast times, and recognized only when his services are needed, is the lot of the Negro. It's a lot, family. Grover Cleveland, 1885. They always use us. Isn't that what the Democrats are doing? Using us for our vote. They only show up for election time to pander for the vote, while offering you no tangibles, while offering you identity politics, while offering you people that have done damage to your folks, the author of the 94 crime bill, and Cali's top cop, Kamala. That's our lot. This is not new. That's why we go over the history, to understand it's not new, but we have to be new. Nothing changes until we stop this nonsense, lesser two evil, two-step shuffle to our peril. Nothing changes, family. We've got to weaponize the vote. In 1884, okay, Grover Cleveland was in office. Trey X. Ados, thank you for joining the live. Grover was there 1885 to 1889. In 1884, Grover Cleveland became the first Democrat elected president since the end of James Buchanan's term. So Republicans have mostly been running this, okay? 24 years earlier. Although he was a Northerner and governor of New York, white Southerners broke out in spontaneous celebration. The Georgia state legislature even halted its session in order to join one of those festivities. The reaction to the election of a Democrat typified this period, the nadir of Black political power post-emancipation. I still can't wait to read how we flipped from being Republican to being Democrat. I can't wait to read that when it comes to these presidents. I need to see what happened, because I'm not really understanding how that happened when the Democrats were, doing as much crap to us during this time. But it says here post-emancipation, the reaction to the election of a Democrat typified this period, the nadir of Black political power post-emancipation. I guess that's what happened. They welcomed the Blacks. The hopes of the emancipation era were dashed when the South reasserted itself and the North equivocated in its defense of Black citizens. Black people had repeatedly supported Republicans for president. Oh, here we go. Only to be disappointed when they did little or nothing to stop the ascendancy of the Jim Crow era. In the case of Cleveland, there was a desperate need to believe that he would not live up to the adulation accorded him by white Southerners. Cleveland himself gave Black people reason to fear. The Republican Party's support of Civil Rights Act was used against them. It was dubbed the Force Bill by opponents. Its defeat became a rallying cry and a slogan in the Cleveland campaign. Quote, "No force bill, no Negro domination in the South," close quote, was a far more effective talking point than tariffs or other issues, and to be of concern to voters. Isn't that true of what they're doing with Trump? Making him the issue instead of offering tangibles in exchange for our vote? Cleveland asserted that the proposed legislation especially menaces the welfare and prosperity of the South, and called it a most atrocious measure. T. Thomas Fortune, editor and owner of one of the nation's leading Black-owned newspapers, the New York Globe, sought mostly in vain to reassure his readers that they had nothing to fear from a Cleveland presidency. His editorial, "Colored Men Keep Cool," was written in November 1884 as an effort to stem the panic that ensued after the election. Quote, "There is no power, nor do we believe there is any inclination in the Democratic Party to tamper with any fundamental right conferred upon us by the federal Constitution." Close quote. In his inauguration speech, Cleveland attempted to assuage fears, saying of Blacks that all discussion as to their fitness for the place accorded to them as American citizens is idle and unprofitable, except as it suggests the necessity for their improvement, close quote. Cleveland's words were less than reassuring, and his subsequent acts appointing Southern segregationists to high office were downright alarming. Isn't this true? 37% of the time, how the Democrats have approved Trump's appointees to the bench. Anyway, let me get back. Good Lord. 2 Southern segregationists joined his cabinet. Lucius Q.C. Lamar of Mississippi as Secretary of the Interior and Augustus H. Garland of Arkansas as Attorney General. Isn't this what Biden is intending to do by putting someone from McCain's camp in his circle of and sphere of influence if he were to take office? I tell y'all all the time about these Republicans in Democratic clothing. Lest we forget that Biden was Strom Thurmond's boy. And the way that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, what's that man's name? That disgusting Republican, Anthony Scalia. Yeah, in the same way, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was Scalia's girl. All in the name of, being liberal and progressive. All over in the Democratic Party. That's why they're pandering for the Republican vote right now. Anyway, I got 4 minutes, family. The Black political response to Cleveland differed little from what had been offered up after emancipation. Wishful thinking, predictable, feigned expressions of shock, and pleas for mercy from the merciless. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right, family? Don't you hear our current 2020 experience in all these presidentials I've been reading y'all for the last month or so? Despite Frederick Douglass's words of support, Cleveland asked for his resignation as recorder of deeds. Isn't that what they do? Support them and then get kicked in the teeth? The new president continued the practice of appointing Black ambassadors to Liberia and Haiti, but he did nothing to end the lynch law. Has it been ended yet? And we're in 2020. Has it? By which means Black people were killed without due process or repercussion, or the continued attacks on what was left of Reconstruction. Isn't that true of qualified immunity? The private prison industrial complex, government sanctioned execution. You just saw the recent outcome of the grand jury, the verdict that all them cops are walking, except for the one that shot bullets into a white apartment. Nisi Laura, thank you for joining the live. Biden is working with segregationists. Absolutely. Pandering for your vote. And the sheeple keep sheepling, right? They keep on showing up and disparaging ADOS for doing a protest vote. And a protest vote is a vote for Trump. Okay, guess what? We don't care what you call us. We're the brave ones. We're the ones that's bringing the revolution. We've got Gen Xers and millennials and Gen Zs to think about, while the comfortable boomers stay comfortable voting lesser of two evil. We got a people to save with that vote. Frederick Douglass was not the only Black person in this dilemma. The race lived in states of fear, broken by short periods of hope for political salvation. Cleveland would return to office later and continue his work as the president of the white segregationist party. We have no friends, family. Breonna Taylor. Thank you, Nisi. I don't know what I said. I hope I said Breonna. Yeah. Anywho, guys, I got 30 seconds to jump on CNN. I hope you guys are going to tune into the debates. Since I'm going to discuss it over there, I'll be doing another show to discuss it here and tell you what my thoughts are. Get your notes out. Get your paper and your pen. Take notes so we can have a lively discussion on Thursday when I'll get into the next two presidents. Okay, family? Listen, let me put a covering over y'all. I know this is a speedy show, but I'm trying to deliver every time for the ADOS. I love y'all so much. Listen, I want to put a covering over you that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God truly is, because guess what, family? You are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until Thursday, family, you go out in these streets and you act like you know who you are, okay? And you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening and next couple of days. I love you, Black. I love you, Strong. Oh, if they don't give me a link for you to join us live over at Spectrum News, they will be sharing a link with me post-show, and I'll put it in Angela Nirvana, Friends of ADOS TV. Where else? I'll put it in Twitter and Instagram, okay? So you guys can find it. What's up, Hassan? Thank you for joining the live. You guys can find it and watch it after I'm done on that new show, okay? Bye, family. I'll see you